we have yet another blush release, my friends. These are the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Powder Duos, and like everything from Westman Atelier, they come with a hefty price tag. Are these anything special, or are they just another overpriced, overhyped, talc-free blush release? Well, I have 3 of the shades, and I'm gonna be breaking it all down for you today, so let's get into it. If you know a little bit about Westman Atelier, then you're probably already familiar with her best-selling cream stick products. We have the Baby Cheeks blush sticks, and we also have the Face Trace contour sticks. I love these. I use the Biscuit contour stick almost every single day for my makeup, and I'm really fond of the cream formula in the blush sticks. Well, basically what this release is that she's taking a lot of the best-selling shades that she has from those products, and she's incorporating them into a powder formula, specifically some duos. And technically here, we do have a launch of 2 different products. This line right here is the Baby Cheeks plus Face Trace Sculpting Powder Duo. So you're gonna have one of the shades of the sculpting sticks, the Face Trace, and then the other shade is gonna be a Baby Cheeks blush. So you have a contouring powder and a blush. Whereas these are going to be 2 separate blush shades. Some of them can be a little bit multi-purpose. We're gonna get into that in just a second, but I just wanted to point out that it technically is 2 separate products that are being launched. And if you have shopped from Westman Atelier before, then you know that their products are very expensive. They are a luxury brand, and these are going for a whopping $75. I know, it's so expensive. You're getting 2 blushes, so that might make it more worth it to you, although I do want to call out that you're getting 4.8 grams of product, which is the same amount as a single NARS blush, for example. So you're not getting double the product just because there are 2 shades. These are talc-free. I don't detect any fragrance. They are made in Italy. I also think that the packaging is really nice. Westman Atelier usually does a pretty good job with the packaging, but I didn't really think much of it when I saw the promo photos, and when they came in the mail, I was pleasantly surprised. Although, because this component is so like nice and luxe and weighty, I do really wish that these were refillable. It seems like kind of a shame once you use this up to throw away the packaging. So just putting that out there as some feedback, Westman Atelier, I really think that these should be refillable. As I mentioned, I got 3 of these duos, and I know you're probably so eager to see the swatches and the demos. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna share some thoughts on the shades, then I'm gonna share some thoughts on the formula. So let's get into it. The first one that I have here is Petal and Biscuit. This is one of the ones that has the Face Trace contour with the blush. This is the lightest one. This is really the only one that I thought would work for my skin tone, so I decided to get this. This is described as having a dusty nude rose, that's the Petal, and a cool beige coffee, which is the Biscuit contour. Biscuit is the same shade as the Face Trace contour stick, which I love. I'll show you a comparison here of the powder version and the cream version, and they are pretty much exactly the same. It is a rather cool leaning type of shade. Not so cool where you're going to look gray, but cool enough that I would say this is very much more of a sculpting and contouring powder as opposed to like a bronzer that I would put on the high points of my face. If you want that kind of sculpted bronzer type of look, this is a great shade for that, especially if you are fair like me. I did try this shade kind of more like a bronzer yesterday when I was testing these out, and I thought it looked a little bit muddy. It wasn't the best shade for me, so I would recommend using this to sculpt the face, and you can see that is a really nice natural color when I use it that way. I'll also show you a swatch comparison of this Powder Biscuit shade with some of the other popular fair toned bronzers that I have in my collection. I just want to show you there like how much more cool toned it is compared to like the Tom Ford bronzer or the Gucci bronzer or the Victoria Beckham bronzer, for example. So I really do recommend using this as a contour. Now the blush in this palette is called Petal. This is their best-selling shade in the Baby Cheeks blush sticks, and I'll show you once again a comparison here. The powder version and the cream version, basically exactly the same. This is just a really natural, true, dusty rose, really great for every day, goes with a lot of looks, pairs really well with the Biscuit shade. So don't have anything bad to say about Petal. It's always been a really beautiful shade. This duo is really for the customer who's looking for something very multi-purpose, makes it really quick to do your makeup because you have a 2-in-1, and also for the customer that just really likes more of like a contour or bronzer type of look. But it's Westman Atelier, so it's gonna be in a more subtle way. Personally, and this is just my personal preference, it's not because it's better than the powder version, I like a cream contour better. I don't think this is going to replace my Biscuit contour stick. I just like this format a lot better. And also, just because these 2 shades are exactly the same as the powder version, I think if you already have these in the cream version, This is definitely a skip because it's literally the same thing. Unless you always wished that it came in a powder version, then by all means go for it, but this is probably my least favorite one out of the three. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. And if you are new here, maybe consider subscribing to my channel. I upload new videos every single week, all about everyday beauty and accessible luxury style. We love luxury beauty like Westman Atelier here on this channel. So hit that subscribe button to join our fam for more content just like this. The other two that I purchased are specifically the blush duos. So the next one that I have here is Coquette and Mimi. This is described as a tawny beige and a bright pinky peach. And I was really excited for this one because if you follow me here on my channel, then you know I love the Mimi cream blush stick from Westman Atelier. It is just like the perfect, boring, everyday nude cream blush. I love it. However, if you are like me and you like that color, I do just want to show you a comparison here between the powder formula and the cream formula. They're not the same. I don't think they're similar at all. Like the cream version is a much lighter, pinkier tone neutral, and then the one that they have here in this palette is more of like a deeper brownie neutral. Don't get me wrong, they're both gorgeous. They're both very much Sophia colors. I love them, but I just want to call that out that they are not the same. This one is a lot deeper and browner, but it's still really pretty. You can see from the demo right here, this is like the perfect bronzer shade. Like, is it a blush? Is it a bronzer? No, it's in between. This is like the perfect summertime blush. I absolutely love it. And then Coquette is also a really nice option. I like that in this duo, both of the blushes are very different. Like you have something that is a little bit deeper, browner, sunnier, and then this one right here is like very subtle, lighter, very feminine. It's just like a beautiful kiss of pink on the cheeks. So I really like how they separated the two shades in this duo. And then the last one that I have here is Suede and Sable. This one is described as a warm tawny and a warm rose. And what's really interesting about this one is that the shade Sable pretty much resembles a bronzer. It is warmer than the biscuit shade in the contour duo. This looks like a fair-skinned bronzer. I mean, take a look at that demo right there. It is very similar to a lot of the other ones I have in my collection, except, you know, maybe it's like a little bit more blush toned. I kind of like that they added this in here because it sort of makes the palette a little bit more multi-purpose. I could totally use this as a neutral blush, but I also could use it as a bronzer. And then the other blush, Suede, is just a beautiful, warm-toned, neutral rose. It is gorgeous, great for every day, goes with so many looks, pairs really nicely with the other color in this duo. This is going to be more brown, more neutral than Petal, for example. Petal is more of like a pinky petal pink, whereas this has more of like a brown undertone to it. Personally, I really like that. You guys know I love my browns, my terracottas, my warm tones, although I wouldn't say that this is like so warm that if you really shy away from warm tones, you can't get it. I just wanted to say, compared to this one right here, this is going to be more cool. This is going to be more like neutral warm. And then of course I'm going to show you all three of these swatched together just so you can compare. Pay attention to the brown shades on the right in each of these palettes. Notice the differences between them. Biscuit is the coolest. Mimi is a little bit pink, kind of like that bronzer tone. And then Sable is going to be similar to that of a bronzer that I would have in my collection for fair skin. And in fact, here are those brown shades swatched next to some of my bronzers just so you could see everything together there. Notice how Mimi is like a little bit pinker than RMS Beach Walk Betty. It's just like a little bit too pink to be a bronzer, but if you like that bronzer look, then hey, definitely go for it. I think it's gonna look super natural. And then once again, you could see that Sable is not too far off from some of those bronzer shades. So I mean, all of these shades are good. They're all beautiful and neutral and wearable. It just really depends on what you're looking for, what you already have in your collection. Maybe you already have some of these shades, maybe even from the Westman Atelier cream blush and contour sticks. My favorite is the Suede and Sable because this one is the most multi-purpose for me. I can use this as a bronzer, I can use this as a blush, I can mix them together to create something a little bit in between. This one is my favorite, but they're all really beautiful. There's even another like brighter blush duo that I didn't pick up. That one's really beautiful as well. It just depends on whether or not you're looking to contour, bronze, blush, what have you. I think Westman Atelier did a really good job choosing these shades and really knowing her customer based off what is popular with the other shades in her collection. So now you have all the information about the shades. Let's talk about the formula. This is a talc-free formula, a very finely milled, powdery talc-free formula. There's a couple of like buzzworthy ingredients that they have highlighted here on the website. There is plant-derived squalane. Of course, every single product that comes out now has like squalane, niacinamide, peptides, you name it, but it says it delivers a smooth, streak-free application and restores suppleness. But also, these are marketed as being kind of like a long wear matte setting blush. It says that they include volcanic rock and special effects pigments to absorb excess oil, to mattify without clogging, and boost lasting power. And then finally, it also has pomegranate extract, which is antioxidant rich to neutralize free radicals and support healthy looking skin. I wouldn't put too much stock into like antioxidants in my blushes. Like, I'm putting this on top of my skincare, my sunscreen, my base. There's a lot of layers, okay, between my skin and these blushes, so I don't care too much about that, but I like to call out those things because I do feel like it contributes to this formula. This is a very finely milled formula, so it's naturally going to be pretty mattifying. Sometimes with these talc-free blushes, they are really airy and easy to blend and blurring, and then sometimes they end up very like dry and patchy, and I would definitely say that these are the former. They're very easy to blend. They're finely milled, so you want to be careful if you're putting these on like a dewy base, you know, like a dewy skin tint or something like that. If you're going back and forth between your cheek and the powder with your brush, you might start to see a little bit of hard pan. So just putting that out there as like a tip. Be a little bit careful with that. You want to sort of put them down to set, then buff it out, but they're very easy to blend. And because they do have the, what do they call them? Special effects pigments, whatever that means, guys. They do have a little bit of like a blurring ability. You can see right here, I film in natural light with no filters, by the way. If you're new here, you can see it's added like a little bit of like blurring and illumination to my skin that I did not have before. But it's still matte, right? Like, it's not a super glowy blush. They are not like the Hourglass blushes. They're not like RMS, for example. It's gonna be like a relatively like matte to natural finish with a little bit of blurring. I think the formula is very, very nice. But here's the thing, friends, okay? A lot of brands have come out with these very finely milled, minerally setting, blurring, talc-free blushes lately. So how different are these from some of the other things that you could purchase at Sephora in your local department store? Are these really worth the $75? I do want to compare these to a couple of other ones that maybe you're thinking about in your head right now. I think the best dupe, and I say dupe in the sense that like it's a more affordable alternative, are these new ones from Tower 28. These are the Get Set Blur and Set Matte Powder Blush. They are marketed in exactly the same way. They're talc-free, they're blurring, they're setting, they're matte. It's like basically the same formula, guys, and these are $22. Now, granted, you don't get a duo, you don't get the fancy packaging. Like, this packaging is, like, it's cute, but it's not, you know, it's not luxurious. It's not WESTMAN Atelier, for example, but you are getting basically the same formula. So if you are just lusting over this formula and that's what you're really interested in and you're open to different shades, then this is going to be like the affordable dupe. The other formula that is very similar are the NARS talc-free blushes. I think these came out last year. NARS reformulated all their blushes to be talc-free, and I think the formula is almost exactly the same as the WESTMAN Atelier. These retail for $34. So they don't break the bank, especially if you can, you know, get them in like the Sephora sale or something like that. But yeah, the formula is almost exactly the same. I think the packaging for NARS is pretty good. You're not getting, you know, a duo. You don't get a 2-in-1. It's not as luxurious as the WESTMAN Atelier, but NARS has a very good formula and they have a lot of shades to choose from. I also received a lot of questions about the new YSL blushes. These come in a more glowy formula and also a matte formula, both of which I have tried. I have right here Peachy Nude from the matte formula. I feel like this is probably the most comparable to the WESTMAN Atelier. These are $45. They're pretty expensive for a single blush. They're not my favorite. I mentioned that in my review of these. They're not my favorite. I actually do find these to be a little bit too dry for my taste, a little bit too patchy. They're not the easiest to work with. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but hey, that's just my opinion. I prefer the Westman Atelier, especially for the price, and I like the duo format. This packaging, absolutely adorable. YSL definitely wins with the adorable packaging, but at the end of the day, I'm happier with my Westman Atelier. I also received some questions about the Gucci blushes. These are not marketed as being matte, they're actually marketed as demi-matte, so they have a little bit more of a glowiness to them. I like this formula the best probably out of all of the ones that I've talked about so far. These are some of my favorite blushes just because I like a little bit of extra glow, so I'm usually going to reach for these. I also think that these are the easiest to work with. They're the most blendable. They might not be as like setting as some of these others because these have more of that kind of kaolin clay, or the Westman Atelier has like the volcanic rock that like really absorbs a lot of oil, but I don't really care. I don't have problems with my makeup lasting, so I'm going to vote for the blush that gives me a little bit of extra glow and is just a little bit more effortless to blend. And these, by the way, retail for $49, so like by no means are these more affordable, but the packaging is cute and I love the formula. Also, I think I mentioned this earlier, but these Westman Atelier blushes, I don't really think that they're similar to the Kozakh and the Hourglass. I think in general, they are more pigmented. They also are more matte. These are that sort of like soft, ethereal, mineralized type of blush. It's going to be very glowy. The Westman Atelier are going to give you more of like a matte finish. I just swatched Dreamland next to Coquette here, so Dreamland and Coquette, and it's a little bit hard to tell because the shades are different, but you can see that the Kozakh blush just gives much more of like a glowy blurred finish, whereas you get something that is more matte and setting from the Westman Atelier. I know it's hard to tell once again from these swatches, but I really do think that the Westman Atelier, they come across more pigmented on the cheeks. So yeah, friends, these aren't anything like groundbreaking or revolutionary. There are other comparable products, but I like them. I think they're for the person that wants a duo, that wants a 2-in-1, something multi-purpose, something you can mix. If you like luxurious packaging, if you just love neutral makeup, something that's talc-free, like if it ticks all the boxes, I don't think you're going to be upset with these. I think they're really nice blushes. For me, I would say they are worth the $75, but you know, I showed you some more affordable alternatives if you're not willing to spend that much, but overall, these get a thumbs up for me. I think they're really, really nice, and I'm definitely gonna be using them because they're just like everyday neutral shades. So hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope it was helpful. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think of these. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe, or better yet, go watch another video. Up next, I have my review of the new Prada Hollow Nude Neutral Eyeshadow Palettes. I'll see you there.